Yo, 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 and it's Crypto Talk up in the building. We'll share this out and we'll get started right away. I'm just doing a quick stream here, so still gonna do the giveaway here in the next few days for MEXC signups. You just gotta sign up and deposit 40 bucks and make one trade. That's all you gotta do. Oh my god, I can't find the link, so I'm just gonna search it real quick. Oh, of course I had to drop something. Alright. We got the link and I'm just sharing it out and we'll start chit-chatting. Okay, let's pin that. Pop it in on the X. Oh goddamn, why can't I get this to Citadail hedge? There we go. Okay, we're talking about some Citadail hedge today for sure. Okay, so alright, we're shared out on the stream. Let's get started here. So I had this chart kind of pulled up first. We're looking at the USDT.D dominance of US dollars tether. You know, it did have a massive spike up here in the past few days. I wonder if we had, I think I just released a video, so we haven't actually streamed for a little while. We had this massive spike up. And actually I streamed right after that, I believe. So anyways, what we're looking at is we had this massive spike up and we don't really want to see price sort of clear and stay above this zone. I had it on the daily because it's a little more telling. We don't really want it to stay above this wick. Ideally, we'd like to see it reject here, but there is a chance that if this clears and stays cleared, that it might move up into some of these targets. You know, the 4.61 up to 5.65, but you can see it clearly rejected off of this 4.93. You know, is that kind of the meat of the move, or are we going to see this downward movement? We could continue staying sideways here and just chopping around until it decides to move one way or the other. If it does move upwards, this would be what I would consider the bearish scenario for our markets, whereas if we kind of roll over and make that leg down, that'll be the bullish scenario. So just watching these this zone right here, right at the yellow, is actually, it's an important zone to see us dip back below and sustain that for a while so we can see some higher prices. You can see we're kind of in the middle of this range markers that I have put out here. So looking at BTC dominance, this of course ripped back into its trend channel. As we can see, this trend, it had deviated it and looked like it was going to reject here, but it didn't reject. So we look for that maybe to happen later, and then kind of focus on what could come from here, because that's, you know, we're back into this same sort of zone that we were at right around here back in, you know, sort of early November to mid-November. We were in that range, wanted to see what happens. Of course, we did move down, and we had that little bit of an altcoin season. So yeah, just looking to see what BTC does so that we can see if altcoin season is in play again. If not, it is what it is. But we just look to see which side it's taking, because BTC is showing strength against alts right now. We did anticipate that this move would move all the way up to there, but I think we've just essentially delayed it. So we're looking for this to kind of happen eventually here. It could go lower. That's the one thing I would say, is it could always go lower. So just sort of staying on the right side of this trend is sort of important. We can see we had this sort of marked up for the inauguration, and it's been going down ever since. Now, some people do say that maybe this is factored as part of what you would call similar to the ETFs coming out last year. So we've seen here, ETFs came out about here, somewhere in this sort of area. And then it dipped down from 48K down to about 38K, right? So a pretty significant dip there, I would say. 21% or so. So let's move over to where we are now and see what we're kind of looking at. %, we're kind of coming up on that. Potentially 21%, we could see that sort of just dip down. 21% would take us right down to here, so right to 86K. And I think this is, in the 80Ks is what a lot of people were mentioning possible. I don't personally foresee that being as possible. It's definitely, anything is possible, and you got to keep your sort of mind on that outlook that anything is possible. But I just think with the amount of strength we've seen in the markets, alongside all the bad sort of reactions to everything, and the amount of bearishness on the timeline, like if it was legitimately entering a bear market again, I think it would enter much faster than what it's at. But that having been said, we want to just play strength and stay on our toes. If this does break certain levels, we're just going to pay attention to what goes on, right? There's this big gap we see here, this 90 to 80K sort of gap, potentially all the way down to like 73. It's a pretty empty air. Like I would say between the 73 breakout and 85, it traded up like that in 2 days, basically, right? Yeah, 2 days, Bitcoin went up 15%. So kind of keeping an eye on that. Yeah, this is a gap, right? So like a lot of people are saying this is a gap that needs to be filled. I think they're waiting for prices that are not going to actually happen, and that this will eventually move up significantly into, like I said, this 110, 120, 130. So I was anticipating that we consolidate here for a certain amount of time, and this is kind of the line to break. These two sort of highs that we see created. Prices sort of trending upwards. We see that price is now starting to trend upwards, whereas before it was kind of trending down. We've seen this down sort of slope. Now it's sort of trending upwards. So as long as we kind of see, I think that's kind of that's actually a nice look right about there. You know, whether we dip back down here to, you know, the lower 90s and then move up from there, or if we just kind of sort of push sideways and then sort of jump around between this 97, 95 zone before we do push into 100K and then really break it with some significant volume. Either way it goes, I think the market's going to decide fairly soon. We'll see it probably within February, so within the next 3 weeks, because there's only 3 weeks in February, right? Like, we're looking at 28 days. We got 1, 2, 3 weeks from today. We're going to see some significant changes happening in the crypto markets. So I think it's worth paying attention, staying on your toes, being ready for whatever happens, and then sort of jumping in on that. If it goes lower, buy the dip. If it moves up, take some profits, and, you know, bada bing, bada boom. It's pretty simple. Buy low, sell high. Just depends what you're doing in the markets. So yeah, I think that's enough about BTC. Again, I think eventually this trades higher. This eventually will break up, and I think we're maybe looking to fill this in. Whether it happens like this, or, you know, potentially like that to move out later, it doesn't really matter. It can happen, you know, right now, because we do have this sort of inverted head and shoulders forming. So it could just go from here. Yeah, just sort of paying attention again to these sort of trends that I'm following, and looking for, you know, potentially that this has tested the bottom. It's going to go back up to the top, or it will continue grinding down lower till it makes a more significant bounce off of this lower trend line and then moves up. Either way is totally possible. But yeah, so a lot of people are talking about, is alt season ever gonna come anymore, and alt season over, and all this sort of shit. Honestly, like, Ethereum, yeah, I get it. I get why some people are saying it, because look at Ethereum, right? It looks like trash. It looks like trash. It's broken this lower line that we created, so now we gotta, like, make a new one. So, and it almost touched that one. You know, are we going to these absolute lows right here? It's possible we're going to the 2020 levels before we move up in Ethereum. But I think this was one of the worst ones off the breakdown, where it did tap down this low almost of 2,000, which is kind of wild to think about it. You know, you hadn't seen that price since sort of August last year. Whereas if we look at something more like Solana, Ethereum, look at this. You know, this is actually looking really, really good on this sort of next leg up type thing. Again, looking above this 8.08 ratio. Sol BTC looking a little weaker, of course, but I think we're still watching for this. So that's a new low, so we gotta kind of price that in here. Price that into our trend line. Right, so made a new low from this high here. And so that's kind of our trend. It's really just a sideways box range like we've seen that I drew out. And that we want to see this now. It would look for a good bounce here for Solana against Bitcoin at some point soon. You know, it could grind against this bottom a little bit more, or form sort of a W structure before bouncing up, and then we either move through or bounce back down, and on and on and on. I'm going to stay with the bullish notion that I believe that we're going up on Solana BTC. Solana's still got lots of outperformance to do. Gonna remove some of that stuff just so we see. This is kind of the get above this line, we're happy. Get above this line, we're golden. So yeah, SOL BTC there for you. SOL dominance. Now we're seeing this. We're talking about this sort of sideways upward channel. So just looking for that. Once that breaks, that's where we're going to see Solana's really going to start shooting up. Let's find our SOL chart. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. So massive push up. Massive push right back down, retest those lows, and it's bouncing off of this major support trend line from the beginning of the most recent rally back in September, right? So from September lows, you know, around 120, a rocket up to 265, back down all the way to 175, 168, rockets up to 300, back down to 175. So like this thing's been volatile, you know, I'll give you guys that. It's been super volatile, but I think we still have this swing to make up to sort of stay above the 300s. So this sort of swing to stay above the 300s before we continue on higher. Higher and higher and higher is what I believe Solana's going to do. Normies are talking about 500. ETH's last cycle percentage base gain top would be about 880. And what I think is the 1,000. I'm looking at the 1,000 target, right? You guys have known this from a long time ago. I was talking about it way back here. All right, in the 40s to 50s to $60 range. So we're still 3x up on our buys. If you were with me in the channel then, I personally was buying this down in this sort of late October, early November range, right? 20-30 bucks. So, you know, sitting pretty if you've been following. I was definitely talking about this one in the Telegram chat as well. So if you want to join the Telegram below, and as always, you know, that's where the news is going to come first. That's where you're going to get the info first. That's where you got things like Citadail at these prices here. So where is that? I've just got to switch it to the hourly so we can actually see that. Yeah, it was right here. So we were there for the first hours of Citadail. You know, we watched it pump to 5 mil and tag down at 400K here. This is literally where I told people to buy in the chat. Okay? So like 10x from that if you were holding. You know, from these lows, 1,000% gain. And look at what that is. From up 1,000% from being in the Telegram chat. Yet the price is still down 91%. That's insane. That's insane. You could have continued holding and been at 10x, where people are down literally 50 to 90% average right now amongst all tokens. Even look at this. Even look at Griffain. Even look at Griffain. And this is a really good project. Tagged down 81%. It's currently sitting at 80% drawdown. So, like, even our Poppy is sitting at 80% drawdown. We are still looking at this because we are still owned token-wise by this. Wintermute owns us. You got to think about it like that, right? Wintermute owns Griffain. Griffin's hedge fund is owned essentially buy winter meat. Do you think they're gonna let their bags go to zero? People are literally thinking their bags are going to zero. You know what I mean? And they thought that here and here. You know what I mean? And obviously a lot of that happening here. This whole buy zone. This entire order block of buy zone is littered in fear. But if you were with me, if you were listening, if you were paying attention, you had the opportunity to buy this at 400K. Okay? Doesn't matter. Regardless, you have the opportunity to buy it again at 4 mil right now for a project that's probably 400 mil to 4 billion project easily. And as you can see, the targets have not changed. These targets have not changed for me. This is my next leg up that we talked about. And it's starting, the one thing that I actually really like about this is it's starting to kind of represent like this sort of area. Right? And I did a fractal of this the other night. Let's do a bar pattern for you guys. I think it's actually looking more like this. Because yeah, that's that. That's that. That's that. It actually... Yeah, I don't know, because it didn't touch a lower low, so I would say it's here. Is probably the best resulting fractal that we'll get. But you have to kind of stretch it and skew it to the size that looks right for back down there. So probably like, I think it's like that. See, I don't know, that's... Probably something like that instead. Probably pretty close to that is what I would say. Yeah, it's a tough one. Cause I wanna be like, this is the spike, right? And I don't know if it takes that long either. So it's probably more like this, actually. Sometimes it can be tough to position these fractals perfectly, but I wouldn't get too caught up on that. What I would focus on is like, you know, kind of matching the spikes and the lows. And then it can give you a little bit of a sort of idea of where we could go from here. But yeah, this is, you know, it looks nice because these sort of highs, previous high sort of right here, sort of lines up with this one here. You know, we can see these sort of highs line up. This high getting, you know, kind of might spike up to there. You know, see something like that happen. And this is also very confluent. We can see, you know, rejecting out of that box, bouncing back down onto this box and continues on. This is why fractals really work, you know, this spiking up to here and then back down into this order block, you know, around the 20 mil mark, and then escape velocity, but it, you know, takes a retest after hitting all-time high. You know, it all looks very confluent with what you would see on a rally up. So yeah, using that fractal, I think this is very similar to how I lined it up to make it look like, okay, this is kind of what we could see happening next. You know, and I think timeline wise, that's about right. That's like about a month. You know, I think this leg from where we're looking at here, 20th of December to the 8th of January. So like half the time, might take twice the amount of time now that we're a little bit further in. So yeah, fractals are fun to look at because again, it's sort of telling of the past into the future, and it's fun to play around with. But again, you can't take this as gospel. We never know what could happen. You know, like we saw here, Trump launching and then Melania launching. I don't think we anticipated from 26 down to 6, especially when this was beautiful price action happening here, just grinding up, and it was about to grind out of this trend, I think. Well, which the trend was a little bit different at the time. So realistically, it was grinding out actually, because that was the trend at the time, right? And we saw it. It was attempting to grind up. It looked like, I thought this was, you know, the real breakout I thought was starting to happen again here. But again, we did not anticipate Trump. And I think if it continued, this would have been the perfect place for it to break out. Because again, you're seeing this really nice inverted head and shoulders. You know, it's breaking the neckline and about to run. It broke the neckline once, broke it again, about to start really running. And that's exactly when Trump comes in. So this is all basically equated to Trump Melania. And then of course, you know, once investors sort of lose a bit of interest, you can see these nice inverted head and shoulders just not playing out. And I bet this was probably like this leg down and continuation down was part in fact to do with the major overall markets, right? So like I bet we could look at BTC and look at it. What were we on, a 1 hour there? Yeah, so looking at a 1 hour, what happened here on the 22nd of January at 6 a.m. That was right after inauguration. So right here, yeah, look at this. Huge spike down and then continues to plummet. So Bitcoin goes from 105 down to 100 almost. You know, a little bit of recovery, straight back down. And I think we're getting news events sort of throughout this period. But it was also like Trump coin was really taking a lot of the attention out of the room. So one more cool thing I wanted to look at here with you guys, the analytics of the SOL scan. They're actually really interesting because you can see it was starting to move back up here. It's kind of weird. Did it change? 702. Yeah, okay, it changed. So we saw that the volume started to come in, and then we had a total drop-off day. But again, the rest of the markets are just having a brutal time, right? So that's what's showing you exactly what's going on. That nobody's even trading this right now, up or down. That's why price is fairly static around where we're at. You know, we're within this kind of zone. Let's get rid of this fractal real quick because we had some fun playing around with it. But yeah, so we're just kind of stuck in this range since, you know, the 26th of January, just sort of sideways really, even though it is looking like that inverted head and shoulders sort of structure. It is sort of sideways. So it's possible to look at that on a sort of different angle and understand that that's possible that this could be a longer term inverted head and shoulders that once it breaks this sort of downtrending line. How would I draw this? this really to encompass it all. I would kind of look at it like that. And I think that is confluent with something like the Bollinger Bands if we look at that on, say, like the 4 hour. Yeah, look at the angle of that trend on the Bollingers. So we had a squeeze, bounced up, getting another bit of a squeeze here. And you can see the floor here on the Bollingers is actually remaining higher than where it was here. So a good look. A good look for Citadail here for another leg up. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. A really good look for another leg up. And, you know, we've seen that interview come up with Mario Nawfal. I know there's lots more cooking, and I believe that in tune with the market reaction recently, you know, they're obviously watching Griffain, they're obviously watching things like Bitcoin to see what happens next. But the one thing I'll say is that I know a lot of people will be beating themselves later that they didn't enter. Just like people were, you know, I wish you would have told me earlier. I told you at 400K, you had the chance to 100x. Okay? So, like, I called this out at 400K. That's 100x. Handing it out in the channel. I can't snipe that 400K. It's hard to snipe, so I'm just gonna zoom it out a bit more. There, we got 409, that's close enough. So, Pico to Schmiko, 132x. For people following me. I think this is one of my highest hitters. I also have the feeling this is going to go much higher than 50 mil. And next leg is, you know, we're going from what I believe now, you know, we should easily see 12x to 30x in the next leg from where we are right now. So, I mean, I'm handing you free money. I'm handing it out. Stochastic, it's pretty high up, right? But it could stay up here for a while. I forget which chart. Yeah, like, look at this on the weekly. It just started, guys. This is how you want to look at this. Because it just started. Let's take that off. No drawings. It just started. 2025 just started. So, like... Oh, that's horrible. That was horrible. Sorry, guys. I don't think it's going to take that long, actually, though. So... where to, nobody knows. But I would say this part we're looking at right now, this is just the beginning to a much longer chart that I think has likely potentials into the billions and at least into the hundreds of millions for the next leg, billions for later down the road. And I'm going to keep shilling it like an absolute angry degenerate, because I still believe AI is going to trade better than any of us dweebs. At the end of the day, it's already being used by those big hedge funds, and next legs up is going to be huge for a lot of tokens. I don't think it's over at all, and we could sort of have this intermittent bear for a little while, but one of these days it's going to take off without people, and it's going to be right when they turn around and give up. That's when it's going to start running. Just be around, just pay attention, and you will catch the next move, just like I was able to catch this for my community. And I think I've ranted enough. You know, obviously these Yi scams, they'll pop up, but that's like, watch the fuck out. Okay, guys, watch the fuck out, because there's a Yi, there's a Yi, there's a Yi, here Yi, here Yi. There's so many Yis. So fucked up. Anyways, I'm gonna take off, and I actually am out of town for a few days, so I will keep you guys posted in the Telegram, and if there's anything that comes up, that's where you'll want to check it out. Click the link in the description. Sign up to MEXC. At least one of you sons of bitches need to sign up, deposit $40 and make a trade. Like, at least one of you guys do it, because you're gonna get free $50 if you do. I don't think anybody's done it yet. I'll double check right now, but I don't think anybody's done it yet. And you guys are just gonna wait here while I do it. Nobody signed up, so there's $50 for free on the line. The cutoff day is tomorrow. If nobody signs up by tomorrow, I'm gonna find out a different way to give out this $50. But either way, that's it for this show. Like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. Check out the links, and we'll catch you in the next live stream on